Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today's predictions are the midweek games and the fixtures are coming thick and fast. We've got the Tuesday and Wednesday games to dissect today and I'm joined by Harry. How you doing?
Hiya, I've not been sacked. Yeah, I'm good, I'm still here.
Still here?
There's been some speculation in the media, but no, I've kept my job.
Harry is still one of the guests at the MSB team, despite several no-shows.
I've got a life!
Should we get straight into the Tuesday fixtures?
Sure, let's go.
We've got Bristol City versus Nottingham Forest. This one should be interesting. Bristol City still haven't won at home, but they're really good on the road. Forest, meanwhile, 13 points out of a possible 15. You've got to go with the form team here, and I'm going to say Bristol City 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Yeah, I mean, Forest have done so much better since they got rid of Houghton and replaced him with Steve Cooper. So he's got to take a lot of praise for the job he's doing there at Forest. But like you say, Bristol City aren't mugs at the minute. Obviously they're struggling at home, but away they're a lot better. So you can't rule them out, I don't think. So I think this one could end in a draw. I think this could finish 2-2.
2-2.
Or Desmond, as I call it.
Yeah, 2-2. Yeah, interesting. Next up, Derby County versus Luton Town. Derby picked up another point at Preston, a decent point that one. Luton with a 2-0 win at Millwall. This one's tricky. They're both kind of solid. I don't think there'll be many goals. In fact, no goals. A goalless draw here.
I think Derby actually doing really well this season so far. Obviously their league position is massively hampered by that 12-point deduction. But you look at where they'd be without it and they'd be firmly in the mid-table. So you can't really sniff at Derby at the minute. Luton, like you say, strong team, resolute in defence, with the one or two exceptions of our game. They're not really free scoring either. So I think this one could be a 1-1.
A 1-1, yeah, could be an interesting game, that one. I think either team could pinch it, but a draw seems likely. The next game, QPR versus Blackburn, two teams just outside the playoffs at the time of recording this. Blackburn, obviously, I saw them against Coventry. I think the first half they were quite good. I think when they press you and they really get going, they can score goals. They're a good attacking team, but at the same time, they were a little bit leaky. In the second half, they were a little bit suspect, so I think they could be a team that flirts with the playoffs. QPR have said they're a solid team, although they did get a heavy defeat at Fulham 4-1. So I don't know how to see this one. I don't want to go for a draw. I might just edge the home team, QPR 2-1.
Yeah, I try not to worry about previous results now with some teams, because obviously Cov got battered 5-0 by Luton, and then all of a sudden go home, play Fulham and we destroy them. So I'm not sure how much a marker that actually is in the Championship anymore. I'm not sure though. I feel like this one, this is definitely going to be a close game for sure. QPR will want a response. Blackburn, as we know, they bottle leads for fun these days. So I reckon we could see a 2-1 to QPR here. I just think they're more disciplined.
Yeah, another 2-1. Next up, Bramall Lane, Sheffield United versus Millwall. Sheffield United, a big win against a good Stoke team at the weekend. Sheffield United climbing slowly. I know there's been a couple of defeats in there still, but they're climbing slowly, and it could be a battle for just sneaking in the playoffs this season for them. Up against Millwall, who lost against Luton, and I think they might lose here. 2-0 to the Blades.
Yeah, I can see why you say that. I mean, Sheffield United's form has really picked up from the atrocious start they had to their season. So credit there. Absolutely. I think it took them a little while to readjust to the league, maybe. But Millwall have been here for a long time. They are an experienced Championship team. They looked pretty good when we played them, I thought, in spells. But they'll have to keep it up for the full 90 minutes if they want anything from Sheffield United. I think they'll do it though. I think they'll win 1-0. It should be a cagey affair, but I think they'll do it.
Yeah. The next game is a really, really fascinating one. Stoke City versus AFC Bournemouth. Stoke, who've been the second best home team after Coventry, of course, haven't lost at home yet against Bournemouth, who haven't lost at all yet. So what might give? Or will it be a draw and they both just keep going with their records? I think it could be a draw. Stoke are just inside the playoffs, Bournemouth at top of the league, but Stoke have the home advantage, so 1-1.
But to be honest, for me, the way Bournemouth are going this season, I can't see them losing the game at any point. Obviously they will at some stage, but right now they look like they're completely impenetrable. So fair play to them. And I really think that they are too much for a good 95% of the teams in this division. I think they won't brush Stoke aside, But I think they'll get a couple of goals, and I think they'll win 2-0.
2-0. Next up, Craven Cottage, Fulham versus Cardiff City. And we're recording this just after Cardiff's 3-0 defeat to Swansea. So at the time of recording this, Mick McCarthy's still in the job, but by the time this video goes out, he might not be. I'd be surprised if he's still there. Going away to Fulham, who obviously won 4-1 against QPR. I think Fulham are slightly better at home than they are away. The form just says Fulham are going to win, and I think they win 3-0.
Fulham are going to win quite easily, 4-0.
Yeah.
All the best.
Yeah.
That's as easy as it is for me. I could look to be a rotten mug after the results finish, but I really can't see it happening. Fulham are just so strong.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially at home. Very strong at home.
Next up, Huddersfield Town versus Birmingham City. Now, Huddersfield are looking good. They've just snuck into the playoffs against Birmingham, who, well, they're sneaking down the table, if that makes sense. Birmingham look pretty poor, and the form guide would say go for a Huddersfield win. But do I think Birmingham City will get back to winning ways here? I think Birmingham are going to sneak a 1-0 win here. I don't know how, but I think Birmingham City will get the job done.
I don't think they've got a chance.
No?
I really don't. I've got no confidence in that team winning games at the minute. I really don't. What are you laughing at? It's true. They started so well and then just dropped off completely. They've gone off a cliff. They look so poor right now. Even against West Brom, who are so poor themselves, they still managed to lose that game somehow with the best will in the world. So I'm baffled as to how they've managed to go from so good to so poor so quickly. And I think they'll lose again. I think they'll lose 2-0 here. 2-0.
Next game, absolutely massive. The two teams that got automatically promoted from League One last year, Hull City and Peterborough United, who are both struggling at the start of this year, or start of this season, should I say. Peterborough United would be bottom if it wasn't for the Derby points deduction, and Hull would be in the bottom three if it wasn't for the points deduction. So both need a result. Peterborough haven't picked up anything on the road, but Hull have only won one game since the opening day. So, God. Hull City 2-1. Why not?
Yeah, I'm going for a 2-1 to Hull as well. I think this is one of those games at the start of the season you look at and straight away go, that's a 6-pointer. And it has to be for Hull, otherwise they're really going to struggle, because I can't see many teams that they'll beat this season the way that they're playing. And it's a shame because they started off so well and we all thought, okay, these could be dark horses, and then they just forgot how to play football. So they need to win this game, otherwise they've had it, I think. Because really I can't see who they're going to beat. So I think I'm going to back them in 2-1.
2-1. Next up we go to the Riverside, Middlesbrough versus Barnsley. Barnsley continue to stink the division out. They are doing terrible. And considering they finished in the playoffs last year as well, they are just doing terrible. Middlesbrough, meanwhile, yeah, they got back to winning ways, didn't they? Good result at the weekend for them. I think I'm just going to back Middlesbrough here, 1-0. I don't think it'll be a great game though.
No, I don't think you could ever say it's going to be a great game if Middlesbrough involved at the minute with the way that Warnock has them playing. It works sometimes, but it's not like... Of all the games in the division to look at, if you want to watch on TV, you don't pick out the Borough games unless you're a Borough fan. I think it'll be a 1-0. 1-0? 1-0? Do you say 1-0?
I'll say 1-0, but...
Yeah, I think 1-0. I think Barnsley are just too poor right now. They lost a lot of their key players, obviously their manager went as well. And they look like a completely different team. They look quite sad actually at times, which is a shame because I really wanted them to do well. But I think Middlesbrough have this, but they'll make a meal of it because they always seem to. I think 1-0.
1-0. Yeah, it won't be easy. Next up, Preston North End versus Coventry City. Now Coventry, decent result at Blackburn considering 2-0 down, and we stay in the playoffs. Only fourth now. You know, we've only dropped one place. I'm still happy. Preston, it's a ground we never win at. It's a ground we never win at. I don't think we've ever won there in the league. I think we've won there in the cup, but that's it. Preston obviously drew 0-0 with Derby. They're just solid. I think this could be a very cagey game, and I might actually go for a goalless draw here. I would take a draw, I think, because we're on the road. I'm going to say 0-0.
Yeah, all the signs point to a loss for Coventry for this game because our away form, not the best. Picked up 4 points in what, 5 away games, 6 away games?
5 and 6.
Yeah, so that's not great. That's not a great return. Obviously, like Matt said, we never win at Deepdale. But I'm going to back us here because we've got to win at some point away from home and at Deepdale, surely. I don't think it'll be an interesting game though. I'll always have them to go and watch it, but they'd think about it. I'd rather not go up there and chew tonight straight after work. I think 1-0 to Cov.
1-0 to
But
come.
I'm only saying that because I feel like we should eventually win it deep down. The curse eventually needs to break.
It needs to, it can't go on forever. The next game is at the Liberty, Swansea versus West Brom. I watched both of these at the weekend in my streams. Friday night, West Brom beat Birmingham. To be honest, I didn't think they were that good. It's just the sign of a team that gets promoted, a team that wins games when they're not their best. But Swansea, meanwhile, they did look very good. A 3-0 win against Cardiff, and the confidence will be flowing now. I know they're still quite low in the table, but that win could be a turning point, and I think I'm going to go for a mini upset here. Russell Martin's Swansea City are going to beat West Brom 1-0.
No, they're not. They're not. I don't think they are. I mean, it's all well and good beating Cardiff 3-0, but right now, Cardiff are doing nothing. They are so poor. McCarthy's on very quickly on the way to getting sacked, and they play some appalling football, so I'm not too sure how much we can read into the Swansea winning that game. Obviously, they've not been great themselves this season so far. That's their first real good result. Obviously, if there's going to be one game this season you want to win, it's a local rivalry. I just think West Brom, like you say, they're a team that even on their worst days manage to sneak wins, and I think they'll be a lot better than they were against Birmingham, and I think they'll win it 2-0.
2-0. The final game at the Badesky, Reading versus Blackpool. Two teams that have been going about their business quite under the radar this season. Blackpool did lose at the weekend to Forest, but it's still been a good start for a newly promoted team. And Reading obviously picked up another win. They beat Barnsley to move even closer to the playoffs. Could it be another season of battling for the playoffs? This one's hard. I think it could be 2-1 either way. I'm just going to go for the home team. I think Blackpool, like I've said before, I think they'll be fine this season, but on the road, it's tricky for a newly promoted team. So Reading 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going for my first goalless draw here. I think they'll cancel each other out quite well. Blackpool been, to be honest, quite a surprise package. They've done really well start of the season, and I hope they can continue that form. Reading, again, solid, but never seem to show up when it really matters. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be quite not cagey, but quite just drab 0-0.
Drab 0-0. That wraps up today's video, guys. Get your predictions down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you've dropped a like, subscribed, and we'll see you in the next Championship predictions video. Peace out.